Hello progressives, this video is for you. You're about to hear what I think is the best way to have bold progressive policies enacted at the federal level. Unfortunately, it's not everything progressives want, but certainly it'll be much better than whatever the corporate Democrat Party would give you. First, let's begin with a recap of the current situation. The way I see it, the progressive movement Bernie Sanders had going in 2016 is dead. Bernie Sanders appears to me to be voting just like a typical Democrat, not an independent progressive. Second, the Justice Democrat strategy appears to be not working. To me, I'm convinced, I think I have enough evidence to conclude that the corporate Democrat Party is the one transforming the Justice Democrats and not the other way around. All right. Third, the movement for a People's Party is not moving. I did not see any candidates in the recent midterms for Senate or House anywhere in the United States. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think so. So the way I see it, progressives are at a political impasse. Progressives are fighting among themselves. Progressives are unsure of how to move their political agendas forward. My name is Graham Shepard, and I think the biggest problem that the United States has is the deep divide between red and blue voters. And I'm making this video because I'd really like to help unify the country. In an effort to do that, I'm reaching out to progressives because you are essential to the solution I'm about to propose. So let's get started. The problem we are trying to solve is that there are two rich and powerful parties, the Republican and the Democratic. Below that, there are two poor and pitiful parties, the Libertarian and the Green. Below that, there's the Forward Party, which doesn't even appear to be a party. It doesn't take policy positions, and it looks to me to be like a weak coalition of corporate Democrats and never Trump Republicans. Then there is 50 feet of crap, and then you find the People's Party. So this is an unfair political game. Progressives need to think differently, and here's a few thoughts for your consideration. As I said before, I think the Bernie Sanders movement of 2016 is dead and gone. It's not coming back. And I also think we have enough evidence to conclude that the Justice Democrat strategy has failed and will not succeed. That means that bold progressive policies can only be enacted at the federal level by a third party. And that cannot be the Forward Party because it does not have clear policy positions. So that only leaves the People's Party. Unfortunately, the movement for a People's Party is not moving. And it's not moving because its leaders are not playing to win the game. Hello, you play to win the game. And winning the game, in my opinion, means consistently getting a third of the popular vote. It means consistently having a third of the House and Senate seats occupied by People's Party members. And it also means that the People's Party presidential candidate actually wins every once in a while. So, to win in the electoral politics game, and that's what we're playing, an electoral politics game, to win in that game you need votes. And in order to get enough votes, progressives need to build a coalition. So let me run a little bit of basic math on you. In the last presidential election, 81 million people voted for Joe Biden. 74 million people voted for Donald Trump. And 3 million people voted for everybody else. When I add that up, that's a total of 158 million votes. And when I divide 158 million by 3 and I round up, I get 53 million votes. So the People's Party presidential candidate needs at least 53 million votes to win the popular vote. And at the same type of calculation can be done for House and Senate candidates. It just depends on the state and the district. All right, the People's Party candidate needs at least 53 million votes, but all those votes cannot come out of the Democrat Party for two reasons. First, if that happened, the Republican candidate would win. Second, most people, including most progressives, are tangled up in blue and do not want to waste their vote and see the Republican candidate win. That's why most progressives, especially those living in battleground states, will vote for a corporate Democrat instead of an independent progressive or a Green Party candidate. So in order to win in 2024, the People's Party must persuade about 28 million people who voted for Biden and about 25 million people who voted for Trump to switch and vote for the People's Party candidate. So, how can the People's Party persuade 53 million people to vote for its presidential candidate? And the answer is by adopting policy positions that appeal to both left and right, and most importantly, convincing all 53 million that its presidential candidate and candidates for Senate and House really can win and are not spoiler candidates. The People's Party should start with a framework that generates policies that unite Trump and Biden voters, and policies that primarily benefit the poor, working, and middle class in America. Using this framework, I will now provide a detailed list of policy positions that I think have a real chance of attracting 53 million votes for the People's Party presidential candidate and People's Party candidates for the Senate and the House. If anyone watching this video knows any of the leaders of the People's Party, because I have no clue who they are, please share this video with them. In doing research for this video, I watched a lot of YouTube videos of progressives that have shows. There's a lot of progressives who have YouTube shows. And one thing I came away with after watching a lot of videos is Medicare for All is probably the #1 issue that progressives really want. Medicare for All. And what I hear is, over and over again, I hear, oh, the majority of Americans, both Democrats and Republicans, want Medicare for all. It's very popular. But we can't have Medicare for all because corporations, big pharmaceutical companies, big health insurance companies and whatnot, they bought the politicians, so the Republicans and Democrats both will not give us Medicare for all. Okay, that's what I hear. I do accept the argument that big pharma and health insurance companies, the corporations, they have bought politicians, and so that explains why a state like California, in my mind, does not have Medicare for all. But I totally reject that Republicans, normal people who vote Republican, support Medicare for all. So if you are a progressive that believes that, then you're going to continue to suffer. And so let's just get real for a second. Does your Medicare for All plan cover illegal immigrants? I believe it does. Does your Medicare for All plan cover abortions? I believe it does. Does your Medicare for All plan cover gender transition surgeries? I believe it does. What I'm not sure of is, does the Medicare for All plan cover euthanasia? But regardless, since your Medicare for All plan covers illegal immigrants, abortion, and transgender surgeries for sure, most Republicans will not support it. As soon as they learn that, they're not going to support it. You can trust me on that. So maybe Republicans want somebody else to pay their medical bills, but they're not going to support a plan that provides services that they don't consider health care. So I recommend we think differently. And so I have come up with a plan which I call Medicare for All Americans. And that plan, I believe, Trump voters really would support. And it's much, much better than anything. It's much, much better than the Affordable Care Act that President Obama gave us. It's much better than any plan that corporate Democrats would actually support. So I urge the leaders and members of the People's Party to support a Medicare for All Americans plan. And if anyone's interested in the details of the plan, how much it costs, how it's paid for, what's covered, what's not covered, who's not covered, then reach out to me and I'll be happy to provide it. So I will provide my contact information at the end of this video. Abortion. The People's Party should support the position that abortion should be legal during the first trimester for any reason, and after the first trimester only if needed to save the life of the mother. The People's Party also should support the position that no federal tax dollars can be used to pay for abortions except when abortions are done to save the life of the mother. I think abortion is the most divisive issue we have, and if the People's Party adopted this first trimester policy, I believe it would help unify the country. Based on what's happened over the last couple of decades in the Middle East, and based on what's happening right now in Ukraine, it's obvious to me that both the Democratic and Republican parties are pro-war. So being anti-war is a wide open lane. It's the right position to take, and it would clearly differentiate the People's Party. With that said, the People's Party must not be seen as a pacifist party. The People's Party should support war when it's in the national interest. And how do we define the national interest? We define it, we would send troops and support war when the majority of the House and the Senate votes to reinstate the draft without any college deferments. If the majority of the House and Senate voted to reinstate the draft without college deferments, I would believe it's really in the national interest. If they did not vote to do that, I would believe it's not really in the national interest. So that's my definition of what's in the national interest. That probably should be, or something close to it, should be what the People's Party uses as its definition of the national interest. And that's the only reason that the United States should go to war. In doing research for this video, the other thing I hear over and over from progressives on YouTube that have shows is they're always talking about universal basic income or a $15 minimum wage. Again, when you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. So to be clear, is your universal basic income plan in addition to the current welfare state, or is it a replacement of the current welfare state? That matters. If your UBI plan is in addition to the current welfare state, you have absolutely zero chance of attracting Trump voters. Zero. So let's think differently. Let me propose that the People's Party support universal basic income as a replacement for the current welfare state. So the People's Party UBI plan, in my mind, should look a lot like Milton Friedman's negative income tax. So the crucial and non-negotiable point being that the plan must incentivize work. So One example, let's just say every adult in the United States would be guaranteed a minimum annual income of $12,000, let's say $1,000 a month. If they work, the next $12,000 would be tax-free. So they would earn up to $24,000. Every single American could earn up to $24,000 without paying any federal income tax. I believe that would incentivize work. And above $24,000, if you made more than $24,000, the higher it goes, the more taxes you would pay. So there would be a progressive income tax on anything above $24,000. I also think if we had universal basic income, it would actually help small businesses, because then they wouldn't have to, there wouldn't be a need for a minimum wage. There wouldn't be any minimum wage laws necessary at all anywhere in the country. And that would help the least skilled and the unskilled actually get a job and build up some experience and climb the economic ladder. The People's Party should support fair trade more and free trade less. I think everyone's in agreement and everybody realizes that we are importing way more than we are exporting. Our trade balance is not anywhere close to being in balance, and free trade is really hurting the middle class. So the People's Party should also support policies that reverse the outsourcing of American jobs, whether they be white-collar or blue-collar jobs. We should renegotiate the trade agreements that have proven disastrous to all workers, and we should impose tariffs that incent companies to keep good-paying jobs in America. And if we've learned anything from the COVID environment the last couple of years, we must have essential goods and services manufactured here in the United States. We cannot be dependent for medicine and other such supplies on foreign countries providing them to us. We have to have our own supply. The People's Party should be committed to the Constitution, and the People's Party should stand up for unpopular people and groups who exercise their constitutional rights. The People's Party should not compromise on principles like free speech, when those principles clash with left-wing priorities like content moderation and disinformation and misinformation and whatnot. The People's Party should not compromise on principles like freedom of religion and should oppose policies that force people to violate their religious beliefs. The People's Party should support all rights in our Constitution, including the right to bear arms. If progressives want to play the game to win, this is what needs to be done. We need to support all the rights in the Constitution, not some. Another common theme from YouTube progressives that I've seen is they love saying the United States is an oligarchy. That's the new buzzword, oligarchy, not a democracy. That corporations have bought and control both the Republican and Democrat parties, that both parties do what their corporate donors want, and they don't do what their constituents want, and that we need to get money out of politics. Using the same logic, the People's Party should not take special interest group money either. So, for example, donations should not be accepted from teachers' unions, the AFL-CIO, the NRA, the Chamber of Commerce, the American Medical Association, or any group like that. The People's Party should only accept money from individuals. And whatever individuals donate money, that list of individuals and the amount each individual donated should be free for the public to see. That is my recommendation. There are a handful of other policies that I see progressives wanting, which I believe are not a problem, which I believe Trump voters would support, and they seem to be a really big deal to progressives. They're not a big deal on the right. The first one being Julian Assange needs to be pardoned. Not a big deal. That can be done. Trump voters would support that. We need to legalize marijuana. Not a big deal. I believe a lot of Trump voters would support that. We need to classify the internet as a public utility. We need to get high-speed internet out to rural areas. Lots of Republicans are for that. Lots of Republicans live in rural areas. Not a problem. And the last one, which is a no-brainer, we need to modernize our infrastructure. Of course we need to modernize our infrastructure, but it has to be real infrastructure. Highways, tunnels, bridges, things like that. What people really define as infrastructure. Truer words have never been spoken. You can't always get what you want. So if progressives want to play the game to win the game, then please accept that you can't always get what you want. So to form a coalition that generates 53 million votes, the People's Party will need to purge many policies from its platform. And here are my thoughts. Identity politics is divisive. Let's let the Democrat Party be the party of identity politics. Democrats love identity politics. The People's Party should focus on class issues. Purge all references to identity from its platform and focus on helping poor, working, and middle-class people. Let's ignore race, sexual orientation, and other identity factors. We're going to focus on class. Open borders hurts the poor and the working classes most. Open borders drives wages down by providing cheap labor. Open borders burdens educational, medical, and other infrastructures, which in turn generate higher taxes. Open borders is dangerous. It enables criminals and drugs to more easily enter the country. Abolishing ICE, that's just stupid. If the People's Party wants to play to win the game, its leaders should accept that climate change is a global issue. It's not an American issue. It's a global issue. Climate change has always happened. In the history of the Earth, there has always been climate change. It's unclear how much climate change is generated by human activity. It is clear that human activity in other countries, not the United States, are generating more climate change than the United States is. Green New Deal policies hurt the poor and working class the most, and so my recommendation is let the Green Party be the party of the Green New Deal and environmentalism. Progressives are always talking about the unfairness of upward transfers of wealth. The People's Party should oppose canceling student debt for the same reason they oppose corporate welfare. It is an upward transfer of wealth. Worse, canceling student debt would not do one doggone thing to address the root causes of escalating college education costs. Canceling student debt, not a good idea. Free college is regressive, not progressive, and which should be opposed on that basis. Plus, Does the United States really need more liberal arts majors? Perhaps the People's Party should adjust its free college position and support subsidizing poor and working class students if they enroll in and complete college training in majors that would clearly benefit the United States. Perhaps free medical and free dental school. We need more doctors, we need more dentists, and we need to lower the cost too. Increasing the supply of doctors and dentists would be a good start. Perhaps we could do free trade school as well. And there are other ideas I'm open to hearing and discussing. But free college en masse for all majors, another horrible idea. I talked about gun control earlier. If the People's Party wants to play to win the game, you must oppose gun control measures that impact law-abiding citizens. That's the bottom line, and that's all I have to say about that. The People's Party should oppose discrimination wherever it occurs. Affirmative action clearly discriminates based on race. Plus, we've had at least 25 years of affirmative action and racial disparities persist. Maybe we should try something else. Another issue, if you want to play to win, the People's Party cannot be seen as pro-Palestine and anti-Israel. The People's Party, let's just keep it simple, the People's Party should support a two-state solution, and at a minimum, the Palestinians must agree that Israel has a right to exist. Two-state solution, Israel has a right to exist. That should be the People's Party platform. Reparations is a flat-out horrible idea. Reparations is extremely divisive. The People's Party should support policies that unite, not divide Americans. I could make a bunch of other arguments against reparations, but I'll just leave it at that. To begin with, who pays these benefits matter. And it's unclear to me if progressives want the federal government to pay or if they want businesses to pay. That matters. That has to be cleared up. Second, I do hear progressives all the time making the argument when they push Medicare for all that there's no reason and it would be wrong when people lose their jobs, they also lose their health care. That's correct. Health care should not be linked to employment, and that's why I support Medicare for all Americans. But by the same logic, employment is linked to child care, maternity care, vacation, and these other such benefits like that. So let's think about these issues for a while, and in the meantime, my recommendation is the People's Party leave these issues to state and local governments and not make it a federal government issue. All right, if anyone out there has additional questions they want to ask me, or they want to discuss any of these matters with me, then I'm going to give you my contact information. But the best way to do it, I think, is if you want to contact me, you put a stamp on an envelope and do it the old-fashioned way and mail it to the address I'm about to show. Now is the time for progressives to choose a strategy most likely to get bold progressive policies enacted at the federal level. And your choices are: A, you can keep on doing what you have been doing. You can try to transform the Democratic Party from within. You can run progressives in primaries against corporate Democrats, and if they get elected, you can trust those progressive candidates to fight for progressive policies once they are elected. And in general elections, you can continue to vote blue no matter who. And if you choose this option, good luck with that. Or you could choose a different strategy. You can choose to withhold your votes from corporate Democrats. You can vote for spoiler progressive candidates running as independents or third-party candidates. And you can let the Democratic Party know that as long as they fail to embrace progressive policies, they're going to continue losing because they're not going to get your votes. And if you choose this option, good luck with that as well. Or you can choose the strategy that I hope you will choose, and that is form a real third party, adopt policy positions that attract poor, working, and middle-class Americans that tend to vote Republican, form a real third party that unites those people based on class and not on race or any other identity factor, and form a real third party with policies and the people voting for those policies that actually can get the third-party candidates elected for President, Senate, and House. And if you choose this strategy, just let me know how I can help. Thanks for watching.